Hello, NWP here. I'm Zach, and we got Tom here doing his deck profile from today's event, which was
Some Oceanics, finals, top cut. I don't know. We use webcams and stuff.
nothing important because it wasn't America.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was great to see, a lot of competitive play coming back into the scene over what these past 6 months have been. But anyway, we played this green ugly thing. He's prettier on this side, but he's a bit of an ugly beast here. So if anyone does not know what Ginyu does, when he swings, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a green Ginyu Force with a cost of 2, you can play it, and then you draw a card. Exact same thing on the front side, except he's got an additional activate battle for 1 green. You can give a green Ginyu battle card an additional 10k for a battle. So, by far, funnest leader to come out of set 10.
Vegix.
No, sorry. I'm allergic to crap. But yeah, just the deck is a ton of fun. I have to say, full disclosure, this is probably the most expensive deck that was ran. The deck with the pieces that I run, it easily totals up to, the 800 USD mark, depending on what market prices you're looking at. But we'll start with the cheap things first. So Ginyu lineup, we ran 4 Berta, 4 Guldo, 3 Raccoon, 3 Jace, and 2 Captain Ginyu. So these 2 are my most important pieces. They're the pieces I want to see the most, mostly because they're the ones that will allow me to consistently stack my deck in whichever way I see fit. So Guldo, he's got 2 ways I can do it. Discard from hand to stack top 3, or an activate main when he's on the battlefield to stack top 5. Guldo, he stacks top 3 at the end of the turn, but he is a blocker that restands himself back to active mode. So just constant value, really. So long as he stays on the field, I can protect him, I can use him as a blocker. It's great, especially, following up a dormant potential and then activating that in the blocking window. Raccoon, he's simply an extender. So Raccoon, I generally don't want to see in hand, never. My preference is always to be able to use either of these 2 to stack my deck in a way that will allow me to draw into Raccoon off my leader, because then Raccoon will then come into play, and his effect is to play another Ginyu from hand. Jace is, attack top 3, grab a Ginyu from the top 3 that you looked at, add it to hand, put the other 2 back on the top or bottom, whichever way you see fit. I did originally have this at 3 because, it is a way for me to stack my deck. The problem is I'm taking pieces out of my deck that I generally want to keep there, because overall, I don't want any of these in hand except for Guldo. I want most of them to be in deck to be able to free play them. And this only gives me 2 targets after I've taken a card to hand to be able to stack on my deck. So not as much value as these. By far, not as much value. Last one is just simply Captain Ginyu. So he's only there for the one effect, which is when he comes into play, I can give a green Unison or my green leader an additional 10k for the turn, which is great, especially when I'm going to, try and go in heavy with my Unison, because Unisons, there's not really much interaction you can do after, you've not negated or anything like that. So moving on from the cheap stuff, which is nice and fun. Yes. When I love a deck, I foil it out as much as I can. So we'll go on to the Unison lineup, and the Unison lineup is pretty much exactly what I built the deck around. It's not exactly built around Ginyu and the functions that Ginyu does. It's more built around what Ginyu can do to support my Unisons, if that makes any sense. So we played 4 Demigra, 4 very expensive Metacores, and 2 not so expensive Vegetas. I know, it makes me sad a little bit. So the way I constructed this deck was pretty much revolving around these 3 sets of cards. So turns 1 through 3, my idea is to always have Demigra to be able to self-awaken, because they want to either attack my leader or attack the Unison. Doesn't matter, I'm taking life either way. And it just stays on board. So once it's there, you can't get rid of it unless I'm choosing to get rid of it. That's the main thing. And it always keeps all of my free counterplays and counterattacks completely live. So it's very, very important to see this turns 1 through 3, or mostly to see it turn 1 or 2 at the latest, and the games I didn't are the games I struggled. But once we've done with that and, gone to turn 3, it's usually got 3 markers by that point. I am, using its neg 3 to clear off 2 battle cards, making way for this one. This one is, it's a bit much. It's a lot to deal with. So as a straight up activate main, I can play a token. Token's got 15k power, and has a 5k combo. So it's a just straight up value. And if that wasn't enough value, its +1 is to discard 1 card, draw 2. So just being able to +2 for free every single turn is just, it's too good. It's restricted to mono green leaders, but it's too good. The neg 4 is you play 3 medical tokens, but I never ended up using it. It's there purely to support me from turns, 3, 4, and going into turn 5 if we're getting that late, to basically make sure I'm winning in card advantage. And these 2 here are as finishers, and it's straight up broken. I love this card. So when it comes into play, I can discard 1 card to kill everything ignoring barrier on my opponent's turn, or not opponent's turn, on my opponent's field. It's got double strike and crit, which is just, it's strong. It's just a straight up strong card. Its +1 is it gains 5k for the turn, and then it's got a neg 5, which is just nasty. And so long as all of my energy are green, or mono green specifically, I can tear 3 cards out of my opponent's hand, and it's at my choice, not theirs. So it's just straight up nasty. Now moving on to the counters. I built the deck primarily to go late game. I didn't want to be super aggro with Ginyu. So we maxed out on Dormant Potential, and we put in 3 Shocking Deathball. So Dormant Potential is, a Nimbus on steroids. Doesn't actually counter the attack that you use it, but it only allows 1 more attack that turn. Whereas, stuff like Nimbus, if they attacked with a battle card first, they still got their leader, they still got a Unison, then 1 more battle card attack after that. Whereas this, nah, you just got 1. Straight up, just 1. It can also KO any amount of battle cards where the total cost is 2 or less. So for stuff like a Booney, and stuff like my deck where we play a lot of tokens, is fantastic, because tokens not having a specified cost at all, they can just all be targeted by this. So fantastic for clearing off tokens. And Shocking Deathball, been in the game a long time. Most people know what it does. It's just fantastic. Now, moving on to some more of the utilities. Super combo wise, we played 4 Paragus, because at the moment, for this kind of strategy, Paragus just suited the deck the best. The only other, super combo that I would think to play if I'm going more of a hand control is the 1-drop Vegeta, where you play it and your opponent discards 1 card. And to go over some of my counterplays, we got 2 Fuse Zamasu, which is, again, just expensive cards being expensive. You pay 1 energy, send battle cards from your battle area to your drop where the total cost is 5, and you play them, so long as you're activating that with 3 energy on field. So when it swings, your opponent just has to discard 1 card, and with Indestructible, it's a rough card to deal with. So this was played every single game, or almost every single game. Actually, my last game, it was not played. And to fill up the secret rare spot, we've got Cell Zeno. So I never ended up playing Cell Zeno once. I got, in most cases, enough to just win in card advantage against my opponent, or I just, never actually kept the 12 energy on field. But again, it's there. It's one of the best secret rares in the game, if not the best secret rare in the game. Obviously subject to opinion, but usually I can get to 12 energy on field quite easily with this deck, especially with this staying on the field and other things. So moving on, in the counterplays, we maxed out on Frieza. Frieza I bloody love, because with everything that we have in the game at the moment that just plays off a skill, you have to be really careful with what counterplays you're using and making sure that you're activating in the right window. Because if you're playing a counterplay that's going to change where the card is played to, so back to hand, to warp, to drop, it's not going to work in counter window 2, but because this is an auto that KOs the card, it somewhat ignores the counter window, so it doesn't really matter if I play it in counter 1 or counter 2. It gets played, it triggers the auto is what actually KOs a card.
What did we learn about Friday night with playing that card?
Make sure that you check what your opponent has in your bloody drop before you play it. The long story short is Zach played a Vegeta that brings out the Splintering Mind, and he had a Veganks on field. So I counterplayed with this, killed the Veganks without even thinking to look if he had a Splintering Mind. He then went in super hard with Double Strike, got me from 3 life to 1 life, then Splintering Mind for the game. So, children, learn, check your opponent's drop, and don't do drugs. And then the last 2 counterplays are Dodoria. Dodoria is just, if I need something that's, fairly low in cost to just not be played straight up, this is going to do it. It is conditional because I have to have a green Unison on board, and I believe, no, that doesn't look at the amount of markers it has, but, if I don't have a green Unison on board, it's kind of dead in hand because I have to pay the energy for this. It's not free the same way Freezer is. But I mostly have it in here for things like Garlic in AOD, so that I can counterplay that to stop him from bringing out like the Slug, stuff like that. Same with like the Android 17, or not 17, Android 13. Just to basically stop those kind of cards from coming out. And to round off the last cards, they're kind of just things that are a bit more situational and things to just help. So I chucked this in today, last minute. I regret it because I never used it once, never had a need to use it once. It was a card added in that wasn't needed. So just made my deck that much less consistent. So that is going out. This is one of the true MVPs of the deck, Roshi. This I'm probably going to see to bump up to 3, if not 4. 4 is probably a bit obsessive, so probably 3 for the next green deck or an updated list of this. Because tap 1 energy while it's in drop, you warp it, you add any green extra card back to hand. So being able to recycle Dormant Potential and Shocking Deathball is just, it's too good. We played a few black cards. So we had 1 Mirror, we had 2 Mask Sand, and we had 2 Black Mask Sand and 1 of the Overwhelm Mask Sand. So this just fantastic if my opponent's at 1 or 2 life. I just need to push for game. Just something as a rule I generally try to keep in a deck as much as I can where the space allows it or the style of the deck allows it. This here, because so many things play off skills that have 15 or less attack.
Your entire deck.
Yeah, my entire deck basically. Hits it doesn't hit counterplays, but it hits a boonie with playing the tokens. It hits my deck with medical or playing tokens, hits all of the Ginyus. It hits so much. It hits Garlic getting the Slug out of deck or whatever other target they want to do. Actually, I don't know if Garlic is an auto or an active or it's counterplay. But nonetheless, it hits a lot. And this was added in here as, a way to answer a boonie if I did come across it, and a way to answer medical or tokens if I came across it. Because again, I choose any amount of battle cards, total cost to 6 or less, and KO them. And again, just great spot removal, free overwhelm, 25k, not much to really complain about. And then, Kai's. Truth be told, I am only playing this over Champa because these are foil and because I don't know where my Champas are. But if I had a choice, I would still probably recommend Champa over this, unless you've got, maybe a specific reason why having a cost of 2 is more important or anything like that. But yeah, when you're playing at a competitive event, people are going to shark you if you don't declare the double strike on this, because it is optional.
So you should.
And so you should. But that is it. So after 6 rounds, we went X2. So we lost to Android 17 Hand Destruction, which is a good friend of ours from Newcastle. He is a very good player and just was able to outgrind me for the win. So we both had very, very much nothing in hand the entire game. And he just was able to keep enough pressure on board to be able to steal the game. Only other loss was round 6, which was against Veganks. And being completely honest, I probably would have had more of a chance of winning that game if, Barbary wasn't a thing. Because
Get over it.
I know. But, having one card that got up to, 33k from one card in combo power, that's just, it's a little too much. So I'm a bit of an advocate for the errata. It makes it a very bad super combo now, but it is what it is. But nonetheless, we placed 9th. We got invited to the finals, so I'm happy. This deck is fun. Don't buy every card because it's bloody expensive. And that's it.